This is day 809 of the Arukh HaShulchan. If you'd like to sponsor me, share more of the Arukh HaShulchan, please kind of be directly. It'd be very greatly appreciated. Everything Simon Tuf Kuf Zain Sif Yud Gimel. Simon Tuf Kuf Tes Sif Aleph. Sounds like a lot. Yud Gimel. Darkon is Super Shemen Tanur Vikraim Chadash B'Tei Tzachton. Their dark was to polish with or to anoint with oil a new oven in order to polish them. Vaslas came beyond him, and I'll do the yontif. Sakimana, you're fixing it. They also used to scrub them with cloth. It's going to polish them. It also is fixing. And their custom was after the first heating of the oven, the first firing of the oven, to put cold into it, and in order to forge it, in order to strengthen it. It also is yontif. But the first firing is Motinab. It's not considered to be a Gemar Malacha, so it's not Makabeh Patish. Until you cool it off with cold water. And that we forbade you to do, so you're okay. The Mishnah Berurah says that some aser in our ovens, the first firing of it, which dries out the oven and strengthens it, and it's Misaki Mona, unless it was fired up from before Yom began. Some are making no matter what. And it was done several days ago. His oven was completed several days ago. And it's dried, even though it hasn't yet been fired up. You don't have to be concerned, even according to one's machmir. I thought it was only by a pottery oven. I don't think it was by a metal oven that this applies altogether. Mr. Boy, I thought that there were metal ovens. I'm not sure. Okay. That they're fired overly much. And you have to cool them now with cold water. In order to bake the below the otherwise you can't bake because the bread will burn. You're allowed to cool them off. But with cold water, like to dip brushes into cold water, and brush with them the oven. Even though you are outright extinguishing fire, came the cloud below this, you can't bake it all without this, it's permitted. Even though this way the oven is strengthened, it's fixing a vessel, and this is similar to strengthening stones, which we're going to see is forbidden later on. Because this was happening at the time you had to fix the baking. But it's also not evidently a psik ratio that in this way they're going to get strengthened. I guess that's not the normal way to do it with brushing water on it. The bracket says here, I am looking at Avram, so now should be here, but Zed, low dami, they're not comparable. Okay, Yudal, if you already brushed it out, but there's swept it out, but there's a few small coals left, then you can soak the brush in water and sweep them out. The Efshar B'Lavaki, you don't, it's not, you can, I guess you can bake at that point without sweeping them out. The Sharatzin says that you can get a non-Jew to do it. I'm not sure exactly why. An hour oven, you're allowed to sweep them out. But without soaking in water. The brush or broom, after you swept out the oven, also at bila b'mayim, it shows that if you can't dunk it in water, so it shouldn't burn. There's no whole nefesh need for it. It's just a loss. The broom will be burnt. For that, extinguisher is not permitted. Even though you'll have nothing else with which to sweep. Since at this time you finished sweeping all you needed for this sweeping, it's forbidden. The Sharatzin says that according to Baal Tanya, if anytime since you can borrow another broom, it's also. But even according to sounds like he also said it's also even if you can't borrow another broom. And it's also, it seems that the Pri Chadash was Mako in Simon Tufku base to cover a fire with dirt for the purpose of that same day, um, perhaps it still answers here nonetheless. Okay. Sharatin also says the Pri Megadim is not sure if this is mutter by not through a non-Jew. So I guess dunking water after you finished. And if it's the Mishnah says if it's going to be difficult for him to borrow afterwards a broom, you're going to make or to have a non-Jew dunk it in water to cool it off so it doesn't burn. Tezvah, Pines Barb Sim Tov Kuf Gimel, already saw the Mutter Lefos Malitano pass. You can bake an oven full of bread, Ava Bishain Sarach El Kikar Echad, you know, only one loaf, and Shazak Kikar Nefa Yotzer Betov, because this loaf is baked better. Shatano Mali pass when the oven is full of bread. Yeshu was saying, the David is Kavin Lashbiach Zah Kikar. It's only if you have in mind specifically to enhance this loaf. But otherwise it's usher. It's too much of a ruse. Then came a divrei. A place came down here away from the place came near the bibishul vada enoke. By cooking, it's certainly not the case. Came shul tircha achas. This is one tircha for everything you're cooking, so therefore you're allowed to make more. Pash kol kikar who have a tircha b'vniatzma no chachmei by bread. Each loaf of bread is its own toil, independent toil. It's appropriate to be machmir if you're not really trying to enhance the bread which you're baking. That's like this is only answered by their ovens. Shuktanim, which were small, from the same, and they used to stick the bread to their walls. Tokshu mole, and since if it's full, the heat cannot expand. If the bread is baked better, when the oven is full. But not our oven. Those which are very large, it doesn't really help to put in more bread. So today you can't bake more than you need. Sometimes we don't have to be precise. You can't be precise. Those who want to permit even by our ovens to be marbe, more bread. That's not the primary halacha. Because Rama also repass. So you need to do a ruse. It's forbidden with bread. It's not like a cooked dish. It only has one effort, one toil. The Shabbat says, even by a non-Jew, it's also an hour to be marba the bread in our modern ovens. The Shabbat says, Shas al Chak, such as somebody didn't live Erev Tavshilin and needs bread for Shabbos. You rely on this opinion that even in our ovens you can bake more bread as long as it's before breakfast or whatever meal you have in the morning. So therefore, if you need bread for later that day, so it's hoil. So therefore, you can be lenient and rely on these two shitas hoil with the fact that maybe it help more bread is some blanket heter for even Mizman Hazeh. Yud Zayin. Mutter listom piat and betit for refuge. You can seal the opening of a oven on Yontif with pitch and with mud. Shasfas and Ar, which comes to the seashore, from the riverbank. That tikvar mugbo. The pitch is already mixed. The dribble also because the mix that is not permitted on Yontif. Shubba says that some say that it's midoraisa because machshir ochel nefesh you could have done from yesterday. According to this, if you did prepare the mud or pitch for Yontif, and the next day became dry, so you did your ishtadlus, but now it got messed up. Perhaps it's mutter to knead it into the proper consistency again, or at least to make it moist with water on Yontif. Some say it's called ochel nefesh. And nevertheless, even though it's called because it looks like you are mixing cement for building, when there's the saucer, even if you already mixed it for Yontif, and then it got hard Yontif because it looks bad. But by non-Jew, you can be mako. To a non-Jew, you can mako. But back to Roshulchan, but Roshulchan says, you got better for Yontif. And either to soften a bit for Yontif, or Yasebo Simon, or make a simon. And move it from with the rear bank to somewhere else. If it's separate. So and that's its designation. The Mishabura says there are two separate things. The simon is that it should be prepared. And the removing from its spot is in order that you should not make a hole when you remove it on Yontif. Interesting. Um, the teacher Rechov, mud in the street, Einsich Maaseh, Yachshel and Erev Yontif. You don't need a Maisa, and then because it's not, it's our original place, riverbank, and you just have to think about it before Yontif. Mishabuz brings evidence to Levush that even though even pitch on the street, you need to make a simon from Erev Yontif. V'habi shatit also l'gabel Yontif. You know you can't mix pitch on Yontif. V'hakarachol mutter only to softness from it. Aval afer, but ashes mutter gabel Yontif you can mix on Yontif. It's labar kibbulu because they doesn't clump together. Mishabuz says the story about ashes which came from fire made Erev Yontif. So they're not muktzah. I feel so much even those who hold that there is need, it does is considered to be a kibul where it somehow does create a new viscosity. Since it's for a purpose of nevesh, in order to preserve the heat, it is permissible. The says because before Yom began, you couldn't do the gibul because the ashes can't hold water, which is why some people say there's no kibble at all. Nevertheless, if he has pitch, which is already mixed properly, then you're not allowed to do kibble with ashes on the yontif, according to the Mishabura. Why is it forbidden to use to mix pitch? Because not use it, it's mixed, and why not mix it? It looks like construction. Also in when that it's forbidden unless you already put water on the ash before Yontif. Even this also, just to put the ashes on the opening of the oven below gibel without mixing water, shari it's forbidden. The minhag is evidently to forbid mixing with water, mixing ash with water. Do savik iser Torah because it may be an iser Toraisa. The Shapur says even though that's not the ikar din, nevertheless the machmer tabla bracha. The Arukh HaShulchan says v'lo yedati the afin nun kochel nefesh yochel asos me'erev yontiv. It seems that that's the reason to be machmir because even if it's like ochel nefesh, you could have done it for yontiv. Besides, it's not ochel nefesh mametz; it's preparation to ochel nefesh. In the brackets, he says there, "Agon reiki beker kosem the ksubas zayin much the bi'avi tzorech tzatz." Bia having relations on yontif is going to be a bit of a tzorech, and I guess to put for the purpose of putting out a candle. But I mean, makibui mitoch ayin sham. And therefore you say by extinguishing a candle mitoch for the purpose of having biyah. It's like the enzer kechot tzorech tzas. It's not like any other tzorech tzas ayin sham beduk. I'm not sure why this comes up here. I'm not sure what his conclusion is. Tav chuv ches dvarim asum yantiv la'achonat sleep. Things you're forbidden to yantiv prepare for roasting. Tanan aleph tanan ein malamni with rafim. You don't heat up the bricks. You supposed to roast them. Behem mashal cream duchkis. So you told him they would roast on them. You malamni some more. They make them white hot with fire. Then it's chasku that also strengthen those bricks. It's like you're fixing them. The rak b'chadoshim. Sounds like the only problem is by new ones. Not by the old ones. The old ones have already been strengthened. Harashba Rabbeinu Rucham. Sharatzion says that the Rabbah says Lamaisa you can distinguish between new ones and old ones. Okay. Avarama to Stam. They wrote it without distinguishing. Word I feel shining masurim, which would mean that even old ones are also. The shlois always gets stronger. So later I was saying the shnei tamim yesh bagmara ayin sham. There are two reasons there. Time nation mischaskim, the reason that they get stronger. Us at bishon also apply to old ones. So peller abenu b'sesim sif av shkasa em lam nias avonim l'tzos olafoslem nesh chasmon. You don't heat up the stones in order to roast or bake on them because you are strengthening them. Lama Shemi Rafin Lavani, why change from bricks to stones? Since that stones don't get strengthened. But Rambam Yesh Gankin Gorsim Avani Rambam. Also, those are the virgin stones. Chen Perush and Mishnayis Rambam. Some sikul diyesh Avani Gankin B'chisum. Lachen Din also. So evidently they hold that stones to also get strengthened, and therefore it is also. The Mishmur says that the Chroim said that it's the proper version should be rafim, bricks, but and stones you are allowed to heat up, even white hot, because they don't get strengthened as a result. So Mishmur seems to be machmir. More mako, sorry. Brackets says Pelish Rambam Perish Mishmur goes to Brak Hadoshim. Came Baruch Perek Dalach Desvav. The Tzarchin Tzubah Shulchan Aruch. The Rambam does distinguish there. Why is distinguished in halachas, etc. Base Ocean Mishnah. We also in the Mishnah Ein Shemis Acheres. You can't break pottery. Vein Cholkim Aniyar. You can't cut paper. Litzlos B'Maliach in order to roast a salted fish. Peish Rashi Gotzolim Dagi Maskola when you roast fish on a grill. It's called grodila. Vasikamia Kamo Milos Muslim made like steps in a ladder. Cholkim Kanim. You cut reeds, gosh, or straw, shel shibolim, stalks, or shel micharosim, you break pottery, or chotchim niyar, you cut water, v'shorim b'mayim, and you soak you cut paper, v'shorim b'mayim, you soak it in water. V'shorim b'niyar gabi askol, you put the paper on the grill, the grate, v'neisha matechos mischamim the dog, because otherwise the metal will get very hot and burn the fish. Hakam shalom. Rice the tiny aim of Fatina, so Rice says you don't crack a reed in order to use it to roast a salted fish. Fasis egos, but you can crack a nut, matlis, with a cloth, and you don't be concerned that the cloth will get ripped. The Bearish Rashi, you put the whatever bamboo stalks under the under the herring ala skola on the grill shosek haley that really makes them to a vessel. So it's the chol media davish anything you make in order to use have a tikkun keli. It's fixing a vessel. Brown bear shamposi mesakona lasos kamin shipud. You break it apart in order to make like a skewer. Psir lush and shvira. Psir means to break. What does that mean to break the nut with the cloth? At least seems that you wrap the nuts with the rag. You break them. At least even though it's possible that this way the rag is going to get ripped, it's not a problem. The makakalu, because it's ruining it. It's not like ripping in order to better sew up again. Mishabur also says it shouldn't be a problem in any event. Tough kuf tes aleph. Okay, tough kuf tes. Kamadim pratim hilchos yontiv. Some specific halachas for hilchos yontiv. Aleph parties bar. It's already been explained. Achshei ochel nevesh preparations for ochel nevesh. Shev shal sosim yontiv could not do from before yontiv begins. Mutar sosim yontiv allowed to do them on yontiv. Mishpur says, nevertheless, to make a keli for the purpose of ochel nevesh, even Rabbi Yehuda would say, agree, it's also, it's only fixing the existing keli for the purpose of ochel nevesh. Mach time, for this reason, the time seemed tough kuvzayin ligrova starts tanur to sweep out the oven. Shenofa atiach when the plaster fell, ayin sham. Chen shpuch it's in a bus or skewer in which you roast meat. In nishbar chuda b'yantiv if it's sharp tip. Can bring yantiv b'ina shein royal it's lospo. So you can't use it. Mutza takno, you can fix it again. Shmuel says that means to sharpen a little bit in order to be able to push the meat onto it. But to completely fix it, everyone holds it's also. And in practice, we should machmir not to fix it at all, according to like the Ma'or and the Ran, who holds that this is actually full tikkun keli, full blown tikkun keli, which is also even those who machshir ochel nefesh, not where it's misaki mora. Even the second test, very well, it's close boat. But if it's become the skewers become slightly bent, it's still suitable to roast. Also, talking you can't fix it. Even you can fix it with your hand without using a tool. Also, if you can borrow from your neighbor, you shouldn't fix it. Even when it's not possible to roast with it, go borrow. Wow. Nishbar Me'er Yontif is broken. Erev Yontif. If you had him then, you knew this. Well, lo shos takno. Had time to fix it. Avim Shlochav lo tiken. Even if you forgot and didn't fix it, also takno clean. Now to fix it no matter what. Av Yodesh Nishbar. But if you knew that got broken, Oshaloya Loedash Nishbar. You didn't know it got broken. Oshaloya shos taken. You had time to fix it. Erev Yontif. Tina Nishbar Yontif like it was broken Yontif, and therefore you can fix it. Change Rabbi Yontif Rishon, so that was broken the first Yontif. Also talking about some Sheni. Can't fix it Yontif Sheni. You know, it's not Yontif Rishon. Kechol. For this purpose, the Rishon comes like a weekday at the beginning of the Kiva Archa. Even though we know when it's really not, but it's like a weekday, and it's you should have fixed it then. I've got to tell you, usher the tackle you have to be you could have was also to fix, even when it's also fixing on the Rishon going to Nishbar. It's broke after the it's broke after eating. Konkalina Yontif Sheni. Since Yontif Sheni have it like a Nishbar of Yontif. It's Ziva broke on Yarab Yontif, also Takna Yontif, then of course now I have to fix it on Yontif. The Bruce says big the Yeshua writes that if you didn't need the skewer for first day Yontif, it's mutter according to the Ramah to fix the second day Yontif when you need it, only on the second day Yontif. Okay? Says Kivega also is not sure about this Mariel, I guess. About the Mariel, I guess the Mariel is one is Machmir, and he has it's hard to be Mako, but it doesn't say if the Mishmur actually Paskins that way.